Rachel Siegel is here. She covers the Federal Reserve and the economy for the Washington Post. I've followed your reporting for a long time. Really happy to have you here. Thanks for doing this. You're a history buff like myself. Mark Twain said history does not repeat itself, but it does rhyme. Are we starting to see rhymes of the late 1970s, early 1980s?
Well, when we talk about inflation, we do say that it is the highest rate of inflation in 40 years. And that is absolutely true. And one of the main reasons that it's standing out so viscerally to people who have never experienced inflation before. I do think it's important to note that the reasons that we're seeing inflation is so high are very different from the 1970s. We are seeing the after effects of a pandemic, massive supply chain shocks, the unintended consequences of an enormous stimulus package that sent demand into overdrive, the invasion of Ukraine. So we are dealing with the kinds of inflation that we have not seen in decades. Many people have never lived through before. There are distinctions to the late 1970s, but obviously one for the history books too.
As you talk to experts and report on the economy, inflation monthly and yearly impact, $330 per month on the average family. That's $4,000 per year for an average family making $68,000 a year. Right now, the average cost of rent has hit a record in America, $2,000 monthly. At what point do the experts and your sources say that people are going to start drastically changing their consumption simply because they can't afford even the basics?
Yeah, and that's really one of the main signs that you look for, whether or not you're trying to track whether inflation is becoming embedded in the psychology of consumers, and of course, whether or not people are going to start pulling back on their spending, which is a main fear about going into a recession. It's absolutely clear that people are having to make very painful decisions about how to stretch their budgets or pull back on spending simply to cover the basics, as you mentioned. Rent is often something that you cannot necessarily skimp on unless you don't want a roof over your head. That can mean that you go without food. I spoke with a homeless shelter in Chicago ahead of the latest inflation print. Their numbers are way up, and they're hearing from people who come in and say, I cannot afford childcare. I cannot afford gas to drive to work. I go to the grocery store when I think they're putting out samples because I can't afford groceries. These are all the things that obviously weigh most heavily on people without room to stretch in their budgets and really touch anyone, no matter where you fall on that spectrum.
There's roughly half of America that is invested one way or another in the stock market. The other half is not. Stocks today, Dow down 880, S&P off significantly, NASDAQ as well. At what point does Main Street and Wall Street sort of catch up in their pain?
I mean, I think that's a question that we've been grappling with for the entirety of the pandemic recession. I mean, stocks made remarkable progress over the course of last year, well before many Americans said that they felt the recovery was working for them. It's also a question of how policymakers use their tools. There are often tools that work through the financial system, such as the Federal Reserve's moves to raise interest rates, that cannot meet people directly in their pocketbooks or directly in their day-to-day lives. I take it as a part of my responsibility to write not just about how the financial markets and stocks are recovering, but obviously how the whole economy is being felt by people who are living it every single day.
And you do a great job, which is why we wanted to have you as we look at this. Is there a fundamental understanding or lack of understanding in Washington right now, as you see it, of how painful these price increases are for people who are having to choose between gas in their car to get to work and a roof over their head or food for their kids?
I think it's been a belated acknowledgement. I think that's been one that has come in the last couple of months, but was very delayed, even as policymakers at the Federal Reserve and at the White House stuck to this message that you were talking about earlier about transitory inflation. That message not only became less and less resonant, but was completely out of touch with the way people were feeling and experiencing inflation in their daily lives. It was many months ago now that I asked the Federal Reserve Chair how inflation was playing out differently depending on where you fell on the income spectrum or the socioeconomic spectrum. And at the time he said that inflation didn't literally fall differently for people, but we do know that if you are lower income, you're more likely to spend more of your budget on rent, on food, on gas. You have less of a cushion to guard against those prices. And so even if there is now an acknowledgement of what that pain looks like, it came very late and much after people were starting to feel it themselves.
Yeah, and we all know from economics, even basic economics, inflation's like cancer. The longer you let it go, the more painful the cure for it becomes. Rachel, I'm so glad we were able to have you, and we're looking forward to having you back, all right?
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Have a great weekend. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.